Gears, the most forgettable brawler item. They're unlocked when a brawler reaches power level 8, and the second gear is unlocked at power level 10. All a gear does is give the user some type of stat boost for the rest of the game. But since you can equip 2 of them, each brawler has so many options, it allows you to customize your kit depending on your playstyle and map. That is, if the gears weren't so unbalanced. Some gears are basically a must pick, while others are a never pick. So how do you know what the worst gear in the game is? No, don't watch Ben! Watch me! I'm the best Brawl Stars player in the world! In my house. So yeah, let's just talk about Sandy's mythic gear. Sandy's mythic gear, Exhausting Storms, makes it so that any enemy inside of Sandy's super deals 20% less damage. And 20% isn't bad. But who the f*** walks around in Sandy supers? If you're at least an average Brawl Stars player, you should know that 99% of the time you stay away from a Sandy super. As if it was KSI's new song, as literally anywhere in it an enemy could be and instantly kill you. Sandy's better star power, Rude Sands, even makes you take constant damage while in the super. So do you really need a mythic gear's effect as well? Sandy's gear is basically as if the next time you're walking naked in the middle of the f***ing Siberian wilderness, you'll have a slight headache. I was never going there in the first place, so it makes no difference. So to fix Sandy's super, I believe the gear needs to help Sandy's team instead of scaring away enemies. It could be something basic like increasing the super's duration. That would be better, but it's also boring. Brawl items should feel exciting and fun, so I believe the perfect mythic gear for Sandy would be a gear that gives every player a free present. Nothing's more exciting than a good present. What's inside it? Death! Another bad mythic gear is Leon's gear Lingering Smoke. Lingering Smoke makes Leon's invisibility last 2 seconds longer, and this once again sounds quite good. Having your super last longer is never a bad thing, but since your super ends whenever you attack, the 6 seconds you have without the gear is already long enough. If you're playing Leon and a 6-second super isn't enough for you to make a move, you're probably playing him way too slow. The gear is good in Leon's hypercharge, as shooting in the hypercharge won't end your super, but having a gear that's only useful during your once per game hypercharge just isn't worth it, when you can have a damage or speed gear instead benefiting you the whole game. So Leon's mythic gear should be just that, something that benefits him the whole game, and one solution would be a higher hypercharge rate. Leon's hypercharge takes 3 supers to charge, which is a lot of time, so having a gear maybe boost his hypercharging rate by 15% or so will let him charge slightly faster and maybe actually get 2 hypercharges in a game. This idea would however be quite similar to the already existing epic gear Supercharge that increases the supercharge rate of certain brawlers, but they could easily differentiate the two by having Leon's mythic gear always give him hypercharge instead. A gear giving Leon infinite hypercharges would be unlike any other gear in the game, and better than his original gear. Is it broken? Yeah, but so is Kenji, and I don't see anybody complaining about him. Pet Power is an epic gear that can be used by most brawlers with a pet, and it makes your pet deal 25% more damage. This is very useful in heists where you often put Nita Bears or Yes It Hurts on the high save, but in almost all other game modes this gear is quite underwhelming. Usually a pet's role isn't to deal damage, but instead to distract enemies and force them to waste ammo they would have used for shooting at your team. So increasing the damage barely makes any difference. Having the gear instead boost pet's health would be better, as would waste more ammo and be useful in almost all game modes, but obviously I can't be happy with that. It's too easy of a fix, and you've seen my videos. Maybe? So you should know that I only use the very best possible fixes. What is it pets do? Cause financial problem. So the pet power gear should make everything cost 25% more. Upgrades, skins, even the battle pass should cost 25% more for each pet power gear you've bought. Is this good? No. But it's realistic, and realism is the most important factor of any video game. Amber's mythic gear Sticky Oil slows down any enemy walking in her oil by 10%. This gear is trash for multiple reasons. Firstly, a 10% slow is so little that you barely notice it. And just like a Sandy super, players just won't walk into an Amber super whether it slows them or not. Finally, when playing Amber, you usually burn your oil as soon as it's thrown to guarantee you hit someone. So unlike the Brawl Stars community, you won't just have a bunch of oil lying around. But what's more interesting to me than how bad the gear is why the f*** is this a gear? Almost every gear in the game is functionally a small stat buff. With the higher rarity of the gear, the more niche the buff. For example, the common damage gear buffs damage, something all brawlers use, while Tick's mythic gear buffs his super's HP. This only works for Tick, but still just a basic stat buff. But Amber's mythic gear slows enemies, something she couldn't do before, meaning her gear isn't a gear but a shitty bootleg star power. So I think Amber's gear needs to be changed to actually become a gear. A simple idea would to make her oil deal more afterburn damage or something, but I have a better idea. Being on fire means that you're good. So Amber's mythic gear should buff the skill of your randoms by 10% if they stand in your super. Now, you might think, "Wow, Seeker, this is impossible. But it isn't. All randoms are in fact bots controlled by Supercell, since no human can be this bad. These were all the worst gears in Brawl Stars, and yeah, only 4. Surprisingly, there aren't that many gears that are atrociously bad. Yeah, not many of them are as good as damage or shield, but they all have their niches. Even a rarely used gear like the Vision gear could be really strong with certain brawlers on some maps. Maybe Supercell are just really good at balancing. Nah, what I think is more likely is that Supercell isn't adding any gears. When Supercell released a gear rework back in 2022, it felt like they would regularly add new gears to improve the gear system and add more customizability to your brawler build. But if you look back 1 year, Supercell have added a grand total of 1 gear. Yeah, that's all, and it's a real shame. The idea behind the gear system of being able to specifically customize your brawler is really cool. So Supercell, I think you need to add more gears to the game. And don't use the excuse, we don't have any ideas, because I have ideas you can use. For a small fee, of course. A gear for Doug and or Gus, increasing the projectile speed and size of the super, making teammates easier to hit. A mythic gear for Ash, making his rage meter go down slowly so that Ash won't be trash in the meta. And the mythic gear for Mr. P that makes the explosion of his briefcase deal more damage. All of these are passable gear ideas, but I have an even better idea. An actually good idea. An idea for a brand new common gear, subscribe. It makes everybody in the game subscribe to my channel. Something you should do. Only 3% of my viewers are subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you subscribed. I love all my subscribers and I couldn't do this without you, and oh, who am I kidding? Just do it!